Hi, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Michael Sandler, your host on Inspire Nation, along with
CJ Lou from the Fired Up with CJ show. Woo!
Have you ever felt a calling, a pull, a desire to do something so strong you felt like you'd never live it down if you didn't go for it? Well, if so, then do we have the special show for you? Today we'll be talking about getting in alignment with your passion, listening to your higher self, and how to know when you're on track. That plus we'll talk about a serendipitous trip to Princeton, dancing in new shoes, Jesse on the mic, birds checking out their landing zones, cars of abundance, and a rumble in the jungle. So welcome to the show, CJ. Are you ready to shine?
I am. I have my drum too. Do you hear that? That's my shamanic drum.
Well, I was going to ask, I was going to start the show by going, before we dive right into things, CJ, why are you holding a drum in your lap?
It's calming. It's like my binky. It's now actually just calming. Don't you think it feels grounding to just listen to it?
If we're not talking over it.
Yes.
No, you're welcome to keep drumming. But I've got to ask then, where are you disappearing to coming up shortly here?
Oh, I am going to be, we're going to go down to well, we were originally going to do the Oregon coast down to California, but then we end up only going to the coast one at a time. So we're going to go down we're going to go from Seattle down to Oregon, then over to Eugene, and then down to Ashland, California. Have you ever been at the Shakespeare Festival? They're going to go down through the Redwoods to San Francisco, visit some colleges for my son. He hasn't visited Berkeley yet. And then I'm going to fly to Boston for 2 weeks to get trained on this new test that I'm doing. It's called Predictive Index, and this is super, super duper cool personality test. I'm going to get trained on how to administer it. So, yay!
All right, so this kind of flows right into things because you're talking about your time back there. And the general theme of today's show is being in alignment and what happens once you get into alignment kind of with your passion or with your goals. And this is something that we had talked about, 6-8 months ago, a long time ago. And you were starting to get in alignment with what you want to do. And now you're going for a training on this.
Yes, I am. I am. You know, it's so crazy, though. I was telling someone yesterday that if once you follow spirit and you have that be your guide, then, there's a sense of something pulling you forward and you just say yes. You just say yes, even when it makes no logical sense whatsoever. So I literally have 3 different things that I'm working on simultaneously. Sound familiar?
Not at all, CJ.
The 2 of us are really... It may be seemingly crazy for the amount of stuff that the 2 of us do. Collectively, we probably create a staff of 7 to 10.
It's true. Replacement would be an issue.
It's funny because when you actually, I said it's almost, I was describing it to someone and I said, it's almost like if you had, you decided to, like when I decided to do the predictive index, it was like I decided to consciously put, someone brought it to me and I decided to put, a pot of boiling water on the stove. And then I was like, okay, I'm watching the pot of boiling, water. And then the way that spirit works for me is that all of a sudden, like someone has like a pan of, so I'm making spaghetti. So then all of a sudden someone actually puts in like a meat sauce on the side. And that's frying on the side. I'm like, where'd that come from? Oh, you want me to do that too? Okay. So now I get it. Like, I think I get it. And then all of a sudden I hear, then someone goes over to the side and puts toast in the oven. And I was like, okay. Okay. I can do all 3 of these things. I know I have faith that this all will make a dinner, but I have no idea how they're all going to work. And then there's this phase where, unlike with cooking, you can say the water's going to take 20 minutes to boil, the meat's going to take 15 minutes to make the, spaghetti sauce, and the bread's going to take 3 minutes to toast. And you can kind of plan it all out. when you're trying something new, which both of us are doing, you really have no idea how long everything is going to take or how they integrate together. So you just do it until you have epic fails or epic success and you cry a little bit because you've
We're
got too
all
much
learning.
stuff going on.
So I interviewed last week Robbie Holtz, a book on Aboriginal healing and Aboriginal awakening. Just two beautiful books about
Yeah.
her husband who's healed by the Aboriginal. I think I may have mentioned this last week on the show.
Yeah.
And this week I got a reading done by her,
Mm.
and the most powerful thing that I got out of the reading was ask for help.
Mm-hmm.
Pray to your guardian angels, your higher self, your divine self, ascendant masters. Pray to the cheeseburger in the sky. It does matter, but it doesn't. You
Right.
know, and ask for assistance so that when you have all these things going on the stove at once, you realize that there's somebody or something that has your back.
Right.
And I think that can make, so right now I'm trying a dozen different things in a dozen different ways. And my biggest question is my energy resources.
Right.
And
Get
I have been,
tired, right? Like I've actually collapsed a couple times and just fallen dead asleep.
I've been exhausted this week.
Yeah.
And that's not a complaint. And it's also not a badge of pride. I'm not trying to
No.
say, because there are a lot of people who believe you want to work yourself to the ground. Not
No.
saying that at all. But if you can ask for assistance, I really do believe things come into alignment, things come into your focal zone that somehow either make it easier or make that which is not most important easier to slough off or fall away.
Okay, so what have you been doing? Have you just been waking up and praying to the big cheeseburger in the sky? Please hear my demands. Please help me figure this out. Like, what is it that you're, what are you doing?
Well, I do sort of that before each show. Oh my secret is out of the bag. And that's why we have such a fantastic, I want to say award-winning show. I don't know where that came from. It will be coming.
Yes, why
Uh,
not?
but that's why we have the future award-winning show. I do ask for assistance, for guidance, for the right questions to come from me, to say the right things. I certainly do ask for that. In the morning when I get up, it tends to be more gratitude related. But then many times throughout the day when things come up, either work related or just there's this general sense, it's funny. It's a real quirky thing. We want and feel like a move is coming for us. And we're going to be moving somewhere. Yet we're content here, yet we know it's coming and we look forward to it. So there's a weird dichotomy of be here now and where am I going?
Yeah.
And so I am daily putting that question out there. Have the phone ring. We don't know where it is at this point. We thought it's Sedona. Maybe it's not. Please make that phone ring for us and help guide us along that path. And so now we're looking at all these fun pieces of the puzzle. And so I do ask, particularly, well, that's one thing I do every morning in my journal, as long as I'm awake and conscious enough, meaning if I haven't burned the candle on too many ends the day before, I write out kind of a vision plan for myself. So I have the top three things of what I desire to bring about in life if it's for my highest good. And then I have other pieces of that puzzle. And I am continuously not only honing that, but asking for guidance for that to happen.
Can you
So,
share with us what the three things are? One is the move. Like, please tell us where we should be, if not Sedona, someplace else.
well, the three top tier things that I write down is one is to be the best father and husband that I can. And the second is to be a leader through our show and through other things that we do to help bring about change on the planet.
That's a nice one.
So, and
Both
then
of them are nice.
thank you. And then the third one is to be a lifelong, healthy, and I put the words down just to keep me moving fast, record-setting runner. Basically, I want to
Oh,
be healthy and running for a lifetime. When our kids come about, should that opportunity arise, I want to be able to keep up with them for as long as I can. And I put the word lifelong right up there at the front because I don't just want to be a runner for today or tomorrow, because, and I've had a series of accidents in my past. So I want to say lifelong,
Mm-hmm.
healthy record setting, meaning I'm continuously, maybe record setting at, 70 or 80 will be very different than it is, in my 40s,
Right.
but that I keep on doing this fun dance. And so
Right.
those are my three big focal points
Yeah. Nice. So you write those down and then
every
you
single
like
day.
listen to divine guidance. Cheeseburger in the sky, please. Please give me lifelong running. Please let me be, great father and husband. You know, it's funny. I actually just interviewed Radhantha Swami. Is that how you pronounce
Yes.
his names? Okay.
Radhanath is how I'm pronouncing it, and I'm probably
Radhanath.
butchering it just as well. Radhanath
Rahanath
Swami.
Swami. Okay, so both of us interviewed. You'd interviewed him on Friday.
And then you got to ask me about Princeton afterwards because it falls right in line with
Okay,
that,
so then you interviewed him on Friday. I interviewed with him on Monday.
which is pretty cool. We hadn't
It
planned
is.
that.
Yeah, we didn't at all.
Out
And
of
so
all the people in the world,
it is pretty amazing. Well, I think he's in New York, right? Right now. He's in the US now. I don't know if maybe that's why. Who
yeah,
knows?
he is in New York from Mumbai,
Oh, okay, yeah. So so I talked to him, and I had no idea. He's a pretty big deal. Like he's talking to Obama, he's talking to the House of Commons, he's talking to the President of India. I'm like, whoa, what? And you're talking to me? Like, oh my God. So, anyways,
you're a pretty big tool, a pretty big deal too.
yeah, he's like, oh, I'm talking to Obama, and then I'm going to talk to CJ, Anyhow, so I'm talking to him and I'm saying, what do you do when you have followed spirit? And, sometimes it's hard because you have to surrender. And it's really, really hard to surrender to spirit sometimes. Because oftentimes, like you were, when I was describing the analogy of like things being put on the oven and in the stove and things boiling over. And unlike those cases, really have no idea how long anything's going to take or how they integrate together. And I started talking to him and I said, how do you learn to surrender? And he said, you just have to pray. You have to pray and you have to say, please. You have to have humility to say, you know what, I don't know how to do this. Please, please come and help me. And it got to the point where when I was thinking about it, I literally just started crying. Just even the thought of like, yes, please. He's like, you have to. Where he said, when Krishna hears your pleads and he knows that they're sincere and they really come from a place of really, really wanting it, then Krishna will be there to help you. But the same kind of thing, the same piece of advice from a completely different, from Bhakti Yoga perspective, because you were talking to from a healer from Australia, right? So completely, what is it? What's the name of her background?
Aboriginal.
Aboriginal background. So isn't that interesting? Same piece of advice, two different people, two different
Yeah.
approaches.
And the writing down actually
Yeah.
came from a third place, which is Napoleon Hill perspective.
To write things down in the
So
morning.
to write things down and to burn it into your subconscious.
Hmm.
So and it also came from Bob Proctor. He was another one who really urged for that, doing that as well.
Hmm.
But that is also in putting it down on that paper. You're asking for help. You're
Right.
really there. To me, there's something different about saying it in your head versus saying it out loud and or writing it down. That once it
Mm.
comes out of you, there's a lot more. You're throwing a bigger stone into the pond
Yeah,
somehow.
they say with neurolinguistic programming, you want to do a visual, acoustic, kinesthetic, olfactory, gustatory. If you actually, if your five senses know exactly where you want to go, they'll be enlisted to help you. But if they don't, they kind of don't know exactly what to look for, what to aim for. But let's go back to your serendipitous trip to Princeton. How does that
Oh,
have to
okay.
do
Well,
with anything?
I just want to add one thing. I
Okay.
can't resist. Um, Joe Vitale and I, Dr. Joe Vitale and
Hmm.
I were talking about this a few weeks back, which is also the hypnagogic state, which seems really powerful, and I've been playing a lot with this year,
Mm.
which is after you wake up or before you go into bed, getting yourself into kind of a half awake state again. And the trick is not to go fully asleep, but get yourself into a half awake state. And there, imagine things have already taken place. The job has
Mm.
come about. The car has come about. The spouse has magically appeared in your life. And playing those things through in your what I call the la la zone.
Right.
Because when you're in that twilight space between here and there, I think that's the land of limitless potential and possibilities. You're
Right.
really putting it out there to the universe, and you're almost beyond the veil,
Right.
and it makes things happen in really magical ways.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
So
there's no time, right? So when you're doing that, if you believe that there's no time, then you can actually transcend all of that and say, yeah, it's happening now. And whether it's in your head or in reality, it's the same.
yeah. So going from there, that's a perfect segue.
Oh my
So
goodness, what happened in Princeton?
well, what happened in Princeton is that Princeton happened at all. We have this great friend Richard from Maui, and he
hmm
is an amazing. He helps people build programs and get them out there to the world.
hmm
He helped us with our mindful running program years ago. He's wanted to do something else with us for quite a while since we started this show,
hmm
and I haven't felt ready for it.
hmm
And yet, like I said, I've been writing these things down. I've been churning them through, not so much in my head, but in my heart, doing my hypnagogic work, and was feeling it was. We've been doing a lot of work helping people get their shows started now,
hmm
and been really enjoying that, and felt some sense of alignment, some strong sense of alignment with that. And he contacted us and said, I'd love you to work with me on getting a show going. Oh, okay, this is very cool. And he's like, and
Richard
there's
wants to
something,
create a show himself.
he wants to first create a show
Uh,
himself. And then he said there might be something for us more to work on.
hmm
And we discussed it a little bit, and sounded pretty intriguing. And then last week he called and he goes, "You're never going to believe this." He goes, "I didn't realize how close Philadelphia is to where you're living in New Jersey." And he goes, "I just found out." I think he said, "I just found out." His dad is getting remarried. His mom passed away 3 years ago. And he goes, "I've just flown out to Philadelphia. And why don't we meet in the middle?" Turns out Princeton's right in the middle.
Yeah, it's my hometown.
And I didn't know that. "And let's have a talk."
Mm.
And so Jessica we went for a hike on the way there. We found this trail to go to. And we got down there. She found this little vegan vegetarian cafe
hmm
called, I don't know, Infinite Something Cafe. I think of it like Infinite Possibilities.
Right.
We sit down at kind of this power table. It's really cool. It's off in the back, and it really feels like the place that owns this cafe.
hmm
And we're both positioned at like the power seats in this place. And Jesse keeps staring off to the side, and I've needed to upgrade my glasses, so I can't see who this person is on this collage to my left. But it's a beautiful image, and I feel this radiant energy.
Hmm.
Richard gets there. We have the most amazing meeting on creating a program to help people get podcasting, and at a very high, at a mastermind level. So instead of giving them the maximum amount of information to drown in when they're getting started, it's what can we give them that helps them get started the fastest and the best possible, most not powerful, what's the word for it? With the greatest chance of success.
hmm
Because the people who are going to do it on this level don't have time to mess around with all the minor details. It's what can we do to get you running strong?
Right.
And so we came up with this amazing program. I was sitting here. It was just amazing synchronicity because I had put down in my journal a day or two before that I wanted to meet up with Richard.
hmm
And how are we going to meet up with Richard? And suddenly he's here, and I'm going, he's here in front of me. I'm talking with Richard. And then
Wow.
I go up to use the bathroom at one point. Oh, and I come back, and the owner of the place is talking with Jessica. And she goes, "Oh, you've got a show. Who'd you have on the show?" And I said we had, for some reason, whenever somebody asks, I say Krishna Das. It's the
Right.
first name that pops in my
Right.
head. We had Krishna Das, and often I'm known to say, we had Krishna Das. We also had Krishna Das. Krishna Das. I don't know why. It really
Right.
made an impression. But I go, we had Krishna Das. We had Radhanath Swami. She goes, "You had on Radhanath Swami." And she points off to the corner, right next to us. It's his picture. I'd never seen him before the interview in my life, and here's his picture overseeing the meeting. He had just been there a month earlier, sitting in the seat I was in.
Oh my gosh. I love that.
And I go,
Wow.
it was a total synchronicity. And then
Very
you
cool.
interviewing him,
And I'm
you
from
interviewed him the
Princeton.
day after that. The
Yeah.
day after that. So I interviewed him Friday. The owner talked with us about him on Sunday. You interviewed him Monday.
He's in our lives.
Really, really cool. So,
The funny thing about him is I'd ask him a question.
mhm.
So, how do you do, and I'm like, in my head struggling. And I'd ask him a question. He goes, because
It's the most beautiful laugh. He's so plugged in. It's like asking the Buddha a question.
yeah, and he's just laughing. And I was like, why are you laughing? It's not a crazy question. He's like, oh, I just find your questions joyful. I find this whole
Yes.
experience joyful. And then it was just beautiful because at the very end, we did, I just need to do this. At the very end, we did, I asked him to do the Krishna, Krishna, Hari, Hari,
Yes, yes, yes.
Rama,
We did the
Rama.
same thing at the end.
Are you kidding me? Because I haven't
I'm
seen your show.
not
Are
kidding.
you kidding me?
I am not. I didn't have the drum, CJ, but yes, that is exactly what we did.
That is crazy because I didn't plan it. I was just like, oh, I think I really want him to say this at the end. That is bizarre. Okay, so he says, and I don't know if this happened with you. So he says it, and you can feel his energy. It's like whoa, like on the interview at the very end. It's the last 3 or 4 minutes, so you can feel his energy, and then he just started crying. And I thought that is just so beautiful, because he just has so much devotion and love that he started crying. It's beautiful.
I didn't
Anyways,
break him to
beautiful
tears.
person. Yeah. Yeah. It's really beautiful guy. Beautiful guy.
Mm.
Okay. So dancing in shoes. What's
Dancing
that
in
all
new
about?
shoes. Well,
New
we tend
shoes.
to be barefoot running. And
Yes.
Jesse's been coming back from injury, and we've had her running in these kind of sloppy sandals, which are close to the ground. They're made for running, but they haven't been doing the job for her. And
Mm-hmm.
her ankles were really bothering her running in these sandals.
Hmm.
And so we got her the most minimalist of minimalist shoes from Merrill, and we got her back out on the trails. And this has to do with alignment, where almost
Hmm.
all the pieces are together. You just need to put that one like linchpin in, and suddenly everything clicks. And this
Hmm.
girl is dancing beyond dancing on the trails now. In real, this isn't southern New York, northern New Jersey, isn't the place where you really do much running barefoot because it's all
Yeah. It's
glacial
kind of.
debris,
Yeah.
all rocks at funny angles and sharp. And now she's going boom, 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 boom. And it's just cool to see that alignment come about. So you're doing
Yeah.
all the training like we've talked about, and me doing the rock hopping. You do all the training, and then you're given that one extra piece. And all of a sudden, you're flying. And that goes along with the theme we've been talking about the last few weeks, being on plateaus, of waiting for that breakthrough, which is it may only take one little more piece. And so
Hmm.
that one little piece was getting her into some minimalist footwear. And wow, it was
Yeah.
really cool to see.
Yeah. That's cool. So this was about passion. So she's finding her stride. And she's finding like she's getting into her body again. It's really
Yeah.
exciting,
And
actually.
then every day she's out gardening, and that kind of jumps ahead to another one. We spoke last week about her bucket list, and she
Hmm.
said I got several things on it wrong, and
Oh, well. It's not your bucket list. Come on.
she goes, I hope you only told him I was kidding when I said I'd put out my arms and the birds would land and I'd
The
sing on the sound of
hills
music.
are
Yes,
alive with the
but she's
sound
gardening
of
now and the birds are
music.
coming closer and closer. So she
Very
says they're
cute.
checking out her landing zones because it's her passion, this garden. She got to take over even her dad's plot of the garden, so it's now triple the size it was going to be.
Wow.
She looks like she's glowing when she's playing in the earth out there. The rabbits are nearby her. Now the birds are starting to come nearby her. This is
Cool.
following her passion and getting in alignment too,
Ah,
and connecting to the earth.
yeah.
So
Actually, I had in Mother's Day a couple years ago, I was working. I thought I want to actually really want to have an herb garden. So I had gone, and I'd never had an herb garden, but I interviewed this woman, Celeste. I can't remember her last name, but she had actually, she had Celeste Longacre. She actually had all about herb gardens, and she had inspired me to go.
I can see the cover of her book right now.
Yeah. So have you interviewed her
Outside.
yet? Okay.
No, we haven't. Jessica
Okay.
asked me if I wanted to.
Oh, you should because especially she's gardening because she'll like drag out all these plants and show you how to plant seeds correctly and show you how to space things and she's very visual and she'll has all her whole house is just full of plants and everything. Um, but I got inspired and I was digging my hands in the earth. And then I got up very quickly and I almost passed out because I had this kind of cosmic transcendental
Also called a
experience.
head rush.
No, it wasn't a head rush. It was beyond head rush because it lasted for like hours. And like my head was like, I entered into some different plane of reality. I don't even know what plane it was, but I literally, and it kind of freaked me out because I was so like,
You're
cosmic.
in ceremony.
I was, and then I started tapping because I was so freaked out. I actually was scared because I had gotten into some different zone. But I started tapping, and then I finally calmed myself down. If I were to do that again, I would have just said, you know what, just go with floating and being wherever you are and don't
Yeah,
panic
you'll
because
be fine.
yeah, I was resisting the experience versus just surrendering into it, which is about
I
surrendering into your passion, right? Because that's a form of passion, I think, that comes through when stuff like that happens.
I had a shamanic experience where the shaman wanted me to take me to that place where it was just a complete surrender. And in trying to fight that, boy, did I learn a lesson or
It
two.
hurts, right? It can
Oh
actually
yeah,
hurt. It can physically hurt. I was physically hurting because I was resisting whatever kind of opening was trying to happen to me.
yeah, and
Um,
it's. I think it's important. Uh, Quite the learning that I got. Important to surrender at those times and just totally be and have complete faith. Everything will be cool. Everything will be fine. Universe is gonna. I'm not being cracked open in the garden.
Yeah. Well, it's hard because when those experiences happen, you don't. There was someone said to me once that it's a Carlo Castaneda had this how people have spiritual awakening, and some people have it as like they're purposely trying to go through meditation and all these efforts to make it happen, and so you're trying to cultivate a spiritual experience. Sometimes people go to gurus who hold this energy within them and just the presence, like Vedanta Swami, like just sitting there watching, watching on the side. Your interview, just being in the presence of a guru, you can have a transcendent experience. And the third is when it just happens to you. You're not trying to do anything and it just happens to you. And that's the one is the hardest because it's not within, in the first two, you select to do something, which then brings you to a transcendent experience. The third is stuff happens. And that's why I think it's so hard to just surrender into it. But when you do, it can be, I have had a couple times when I've surrendered into it and it's great. But mostly the first couple times I didn't even know what was happening and it just completely freaked me out. And then I had like massive headaches and weird things happen, panic attacks, not panic attacks, but whatever is close to panicked. Um, anyway, so tell me more about Jessie on the mic.
So,
More
well,
about Jessie.
the more she's coming into alignment with who she is, and she journals daily. So the amount of journaling she does is quite impressive, and she does a lot of drawing, and she does the gardening. She's really working to get in alignment with her higher self, with what she's here to do. And now she's ready to get back on the mic.
Oh,
And so she's only been on the mic a few times.
yay. What kind of stuff are you guys going to talk about and when?
So we're gonna do our first show. I think she's literally on the calendar as a guest. This is wild. She's officially in the calendar.
Yay,
I
Jessie.
think for this upcoming Tuesday, and I think we're gonna talk about her healing journey and all the pieces that she's put in place because that's the easiest to talk about. That's most fluid for her, and that's really in her zone.
Yeah.
And I think we
Yeah.
all want to be in her zone. And in her zone, I think she'll be very comfortable on the mic. And I didn't ask her to do this.
She just said, I
So
want to be on the show and talk about my healing.
she was like, I think I'm feeling ready to do this. I think I'm feeling ready to share. And now I can hear her because she's probably listening in from behind the studio here going, that's not how I put it. Seeing as I'm the only one on the mic right now, that's how I'm telling the story. But but she did say she was feeling like she was just about ready to do it. And so I got Aya, who's our amazing guest liaison and coordinator, to contact her to schedule
You.
it. I'm like,
Yay.
let's make this official and get
Yeah.
this scheduled. So, but it's amazing to see her voice coming about as she's been in alignment. And I think my big theme right now is how do I help other people get their voices out? and how people find their voice. And I think you have to do that soul searching and really figure out what makes me shine, what makes me happy to get about my day, and what are my gifts. And if we start to figure that out, I had on Lisa Nichols, amazing human being from The Secret. I had her on this past week. And I like what she says about following your passion and finding your passion. And then she goes, don't quit your day job. She says, consider it an investor. It's
Right.
an investor in your future. When you flip it around like that, you won't feel resentful about going in, but it can help you save up to get to where you need to be.
Right.
And I think that's important, that we don't all go and just jump ship today. Jumping ship may be exactly what you need, but to take your time with that if you can.
Right.
And then put these pieces into place. And it's just, Jesse's just been an amazing example. And I won't talk about her too much more because then we won't, she's like, well, then we won't have a show to talk about.
But it's a whole, I think actually it goes back to the theme of the show, which is passion, right? And finding your passion and how one goes about finding your passion. And even, right, so it's about finding your passion, whether it's journaling, gardening, and like getting back into your heart space so that you can feel your heart. Because I think in some ways what happens is we start losing the ability to hear our heart because we've like turned the volume down so much. So gardening, running, all those things are kind of cranking up the volume so that we can hear our inner voices and what it's trying to say to us, right? So then, and then once we do that, and we have heard so many voices that we have, the pot of spaghetti and the frying pan. It's about, please help me. I've listened. I'm following my passion. I'm following my purpose. I've been listening. Because in some ways you have to figure out, I don't know, my own journey is figuring out who I am and what I'm all about and what I'm good at and what I love doing. And then it's there. I think the next step for me, at least, and maybe for you too, I don't know, I'm curious to hear what your step has been to say, okay, I know I have all these things. Now, please have me be of service. I've gotten so much out of life at this point that I could die and be okay. Like I really have. Like I've experienced a lot. I've loved a lot. I've been loved. Like if I drop dead at this moment, it's all good. Like at this point now, what can I do to, I've been so fortunate. What can I do now to serve? And that's when that's almost another level of passion. And then when that happens, it's, gosh, how do I serve and be of service? And do so in a way that I can be passionate, but then, I don't know, keep it all together, right? Because you have this new mastermind show that's coming out. You have this show that's going gangbusters. You're starting a family and moving. Like you have a lot of stuff going on. So how do you hold all of that and all that passion and excitement and with a sense of peace and calm,
So got a couple of things in there.
Yeah.
Let's see if I get them. Well, the first one is play. So first off, in finding yourself, and you're saying, we start to do these things to help us find ourselves. Ultimately, we have to get back to playing again.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
And so when you think you're doing something that's off task, I'm gardening, but I should be working on finding out what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm painting, so I should be figuring out whoa. All these things, this quote unquote playtime, are exactly what you quote unquote should be doing to find yourself, because those are the things that are coming from the heart side of things, that are coming from your intuition, that are getting you out of your linear mind, and getting you out of your mind.
Right.
Really. And that's the most important thing to help you expand your possibilities. Going back, I believe this is a story Ratanath shared, and when he was at the confluence or the combining of two rivers in India, and he met a gentleman who had been like 40 years his senior, like a sadhi, somebody who an ascetic who went around and just this guru of gurus, who says, I have something for you. And maybe I even told this last week. Forgive me if I did.
No, you haven't.
And he gives him he said, I have something for you. And he pulls out, he's got his little bag or something with him, and he pulls out something. He goes, "I've been carrying this around for 40 years, and I want you to have this."
Oh my goodness.
And
Wow.
he hands it to him, and then walks off, so he can't say anything. And it's this faded old yellowed paper all folded up, and he unwraps it and he begins to read it, and it's the prayer from Saint Francis of Assisi.
I love that prayer.
I say that before each show now.
Oh, you
Make
do?
me an instrument of thy peace. Make me an instrument of thy love.
Uh,
That, to me, we're doing the same
to
thing,
be
you and I,
understood than to be under.
is
Yeah, I love that poem.
how can I serve? Please carry the words through me. I don't know what I'm going to say. Please help me to say what I need to say for my highest good, for the highest good of all. Please help me to serve.
Mm. That's the when I was giving birth to my son, my first
Mhm.
son, that was the prayer that I would say over and over and over again.
I've never heard of anyone doing that while giving. That's amazing. No, that is so cool. You just totally surrendered and said for everybody out there, this isn't about me.
Yep. Yeah, so I just said the poem. It didn't come from I was not on my spiritual path. I just for some reason I really that poem really resonated with me and I thought that is what I want to say before I don't know, before I give birth to my son. No, I'm going to start crying. My eldest is it's so funny. I was driving I was driving
Oh,
down
people are going to ask first. So how did the birth go?
well that little kid first of all, why with that birth, my water broke early. So when your water breaks, well, my water broke, and the nurse was like, they put this stuff on you so that you actually accelerate, the whole process. And when she did that, she actually poked, and my water just burst open, which should not have happened. And so then I went into instantaneous labor, and it was just so god awful painful. And it was a back labor, so the baby is faced in a way so that he's pushing with his feet onto your back. It hurts like heck. And so my husband bought this foam, and they did not have a hospital room for us because it was like like a urban Joseph. we had we had no place to go. So we walked around downtown Seattle. My husband had a bat made out of foam, and he would
What is
push.
he going to do with his
He
bat?
pushed his bat against my back because it hurt like hell. It hurt so bad that when I was in pain, he would take the bat and he would like sit there and push the bat on my back.
One has to wonder why you're not at a hospital at this point.
Well, because they told us there's no room. They said you can actually sit here in this dark room and watch like Dr. Phil. I was like, oh my gosh, I'd rather be walking in downtown Seattle with a bat. No, Dr. Phil. So, or whatever. It's just like daytime TV in the dark room. I was like, no, this is just awful. I cannot do this. This will make me crazy. So anyway, so that was my delivery. Not
A show for another time, perhaps.
you asked.
Okay, so one last question on this. Where was he actually born? Where
My
was he?
son, he was born in a hospital room. I mean, he
Okay.
was born, but it was long. I was in labor for it was from 12 in the morning till 5 the next day, and
Oh,
I was
wow.
in pain until 12 that night when I said I don't actually think I even have any energy left to do anything. Like I won't be able to push. I won't be able to do anything. And I said, okay, bring in the anesthesiologist because I wanted to do a drug free. Pregnancy, drug-free labor, and then I just thought I can't do it anymore. And then I remember listening to I think it was Jay Leno. I was listening to Jay Leno, and the anesthesiologist injected this drug into me, and I turned to him. I'm like, I love you. I said, I love you. I'm sure you hear that a lot from people, but I really do. I love you. So that was my that was my birth story. And then after all of that, it ended up being a C-section. And it was during a C-section also that I kept on saying this prayer over and over and over again. So anyways.
So going from there, you were saying driving down the road in
Okay,
a
so I'm
car.
driving down the road and I'm thinking all of a sudden I get flooded with emotion because my son's going off to college and I get flooded with emotion and I just have this kind of urge to like bawl, like it's serious weeping, sad kind of, I don't know, like a whale. So I'm sitting in the car. I'm like, why is this happening now? I'm like, oh. And then I look up and I thought, well, that car looks familiar. It's the same car as our car. We have a red Subaru. And then I look and I was like, that's our same license. And then I realized as I'm wailing about losing my son and having him go to college, he's driving right in front of me on the road. I don't even know how that happened because I left like 10 minutes after he left.
Hmm.
And somehow I must have taken a shortcut and I was driving and I just thought, I don't know what the universe is trying to tell me, but
Even when you're apart, you'll still be
I
together.
know. Even if we're apart, we'll still be. And even when I'm so sad in the midst of despair and hopelessness, or, he's still going to be there in my heart and maybe actually 20 feet ahead of me.
I love it.
Weird. Okay, what's your cars of abundance?
So,
What's that mean?
Cars of Abundance is, I'm stuck thinking of a synchronicity, a really weird synchronicity that happened earlier this week that I don't have an answer to yet. I rarely watch movies at home. I don't even have a TV, but occasionally I'll watch a movie. And I started earlier this week. I felt called to start, of all things, Back to the Future 2. I have no idea
Oh, I
why.
love those shows. Yeah.
I start Back to the Future 2, and I go to bed that night, or I go hiking with Jessica and say, oh, I just started Back to the Future 2. The next morning we go up and go to the gym, and they have on a TV in there so people can watch a movie while they're pedaling their bike or running on the treadmill. And of all things, it's Back to the Future 2.
Again?
Well, no, I was watching it at home.
I know, but wow, that's crazy. That's
Out of all the
crazy.
movies in the world, so I have no idea why and no idea what it means, but we'll have to get to the bottom of that. It was just, what's the message? I have no idea.
Right.
No coincidences, and that's just really
Yeah,
of
that's
all the movies.
crazy. Which one is that? Is that the one? So the Michael, he goes to there once, and then the
This
second
is the
time,
future.
oh, so he goes to the future, and then he comes back. What's?
Yeah, it's the one nobody remembers because it's terrible. It's really. I tried to watch a little bit more of it last night. It's just an awful movie. I don't know. It's a Spielberg movie. I don't know how they, and I don't know how they actually pulled off a third after it. Nobody watches it again. It's
I
just really bad. It's why you don't remember it. The only thing you'll remember is the hoverboard. He had a hoverboard. He breaks a girl's scooter, says, "I'm going to bring this back to you." Yanks the top of the scooter and gets until he's out stuck in this fountain in front of the town
I
hall
do remember that scene.
because
Okay.
everybody knows you lose, can't do it without power over water.
Right. Oh
So
wow. Okay.
okay, so now Cars of Abundance.
Yes.
So we got to New Jersey last year, and we did get fairly wiped out in getting here with Jessica sick. No big deal. We'll figure it all out. We've had this. We didn't know for how long we'd been here, so we have this nice little Honda Accord that we've been borrowing. And this week there's been just such an energy shift, such a major financial influx as we're being in alignment. It's just really cool to see everything
Yeah.
coming together. And our cousins who graciously lent us the Honda while we're here, because we're not going to be here for that long. We don't know where that next step is, but
Right.
that's when we'll get a vehicle. Um, they wanted to bring the Honda to the dealership, and so they lent us their pretty much brand new Infinity
Right.
something, top of the line, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And so as all of this stuff is coming together and we're in alignment, we're all of a sudden driving this top of the line, beautiful car down the road. It's
Yeah.
just part of this shift of energy. And to
Ah.
watch this being in this place of gratitude and feeling the abundance coming in, you generate abundance first in your heart, in your mind, but not in your thinking mind, but more in this higher level, the overmind, in your infinite divine self. And then this stuff starts to happen, and it's real and
Yeah.
it's magic and it's cool. So I can see out the studio now, and I'm looking at this beautiful sleek car. It's just representative and
Yeah.
just an energy shift, a powerful, powerful
Because
energy
I
shift.
remember a couple months ago you were reading that book on money. What was it? It was like a book on money, right?
Well, there's Napoleon Hill we discussed, Think and Grow Rich.
Okay, was that the book? No, there was another book, right? There was
We've
another.
read many recently on money.
Okay. But it's all coming to fruition now. It's so exciting.
All of the stuff you read about, all the things about law of attraction, if you put them into play, and I like, oh, I the name will come to me after the show ends. One of our great guests had said, if you're going to heal, throw the kitchen sink at it. Throw all of the affirmations, all of the chants, all of the meditation, all of the prayer, tapping, everything. Throw everything under the sun after it. Well, if you're looking for abundance, if you're looking to discover your passion, if you're looking to find what you are in greatest alignment with, throw the book at it. Do everything you can. And that's what we've been doing. The show obviously has gone bananas well. This program we're building now it's going to take off. I just feel it in my bones, and it's an answer
Really
to
like
many
it.
of our prayers. It didn't come from me. Total flow, and it didn't come from me. And it's just like sitting down at Princeton, bringing us full circle. None of it came from me, but the seed of the idea, I want to do this to help. I want to do things that use my passion, that are in alignment with my greatest good. That I kept repeating, and asking for help and praying and affirmations. And it's dumbfounding to see it all working.
Yeah, it is coming from you. It's not you did because you have to see.
Co-creation. I will take
Yeah.
credit. Yes.
Yeah, it's not coming, it's coming to you and through you, but
Beautiful.
it's not coming from your ego going like I want to do whatever. It's just coming through you and you're responding, and
Yeah.
it's so exciting to see because it's been over a period of time because we've been talking how long have we been doing our portion together? Like for 3 4 months? How long?
Even longer than that
It
now.
has.
And for that, it was probably about this time last year. Actually, it was within a week of this time last year that I came to you and said, we want to start a show. Can you give us some guidance?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That was
A,
a year ago?
a year, a little year. But look at how much things have
I
changed.
know. Oh my God. That's phenomenal. I do. It will be interesting for folks that have been listening over time to just listen to our first couple of shows that we did together because you had gotten all these readings of people saying you're going to get money, but it's going to come in through things sideways in ways that you don't understand, and it's exactly what's happened, right?
You caught that too. It's
Yeah.
from the side. Making the program, which is awesome and brilliant, isn't what we planned on and isn't coming directly from the show.
Right.
It's from the side. That's what people are listening going, what do you mean from the side? Well, we've interviewed many mediums and they've all done a reading on me and all said the same thing. You don't have to worry about where the income's coming for your next step in life, for raising a family, for having your own home. You don't need to worry about it at all. It's already all taken care of. It's already there from you. It's not going to come in from any direction you're expecting. It's going to come in from the side.
Right. And you've had the passion to stick with it, right? Because the desire to like, oh, okay, I'm going to go work at REI. Or, I mean, not that REI is, it's a perfectly fine company. But you're like, the desire to just like, oh, maybe I should give it up or do less. You just have stayed with it
And
regardless.
and it's been hard at times, particularly like we discussed a week or two on the show when Jessica's 69-year-old mom goes, well, maybe I need to get a second job so
Right.
you guys can keep going. And I'm going, all right, universe, this is when you need to shift things for us.
Yeah, the timing is kind of right now.
And then things started to take off, and I have, when you know you're on path, you can get your second job, do whatever needs to get done, but don't give up on what you're doing. Now, this is very different than if all the doors are closing from you and you're going, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? When you know this is what I'm supposed to be doing and I have to do this, I have to write, I have to paint, I have to do whatever job, I have to travel, then you have to.
Yeah.
And hang in there. Hang in there, hang in there, hang in there, and things will come together. But then throw every book, throw every trick, surround yourself with the people, surround yourself with the books, and watch the magic happen. And so it's been really cool.
Okay, that woohoo! This is a shamanic you woohoo.
And that fits in with the last thing I've got, which I'll say real quickly
Okay.
from a time
Yeah.
perspective. which is last week we talked about bucket lists, and I talked about one of those things was having a date night with Jessica.
Yes.
And so we are having a date night tonight, and we are going to
Yay.
celebrate everything that's been coming into our lives. And just like you're doing shamanic drumming, when I think of shamanic, I think of the jungles. I think of the Amazon when I hear that word shaman. Well,
Yes.
tonight we're going to see Jungle Book.
Oh, fun. Oh, that's going to be great.
And I bought the tickets and I got it. We're going to this theater, which is it's a really cool. It's an old theater that has recliners in it.
Oh, I love those kind of chairs.
So
Yay.
we've got the center seats reserved in recliners to go watch Jungle Book and celebrate and have a date night.
That's fantastic. Yay!
Woo!
Woo!
Everybody, you need to pat yourself on the back, celebrate every victory, large or small, and it brings more than about.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. That was
So-
a wonderful show.
Do you have any last words? Because I've been talking a
don't.
lot here.
I don't. I feel like I've been talking.
All right, well, let's wrap it up on a great note. So everybody have a fantastic, magical week again. For everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler and
CJ Lou from the Fired Up with CJ show.
saying, have fun, be well, put it all out there and go for it, go for it, go for it,
Woo!
and shine bright.